President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump.
The Arctic, right? Our country is blessed with incredible natural resources, including abundant offshore oil and natural gas in the Arctic, but we're opening it up.
Because I didn't recognize the number, it says, I want to tell you that what you've been talking about, you need to stop talking about. Your experience that you had when you were on the ice, when you were in the service, we don't want you talking about that.
On a frozen, windswept expanse in the Arctic, Vladimir Putin's military ambition is on grand display. Painted like a Russian flag, it's called Trefoil for its three-cornered structure, a sprawling new military base that can house 150 troops and warplanes.
Понимаете, я уже общался и с одним президентом США, и с другим, и с третьим. Президенты приходят и уходят, а политика не меняется. Знаете почему? Потому что очень сильна власть бюрократии.
The big news is Antarctica, and that does play into Trump at the moment. The plan that Donald Trump has is to...
Russia preparing to assault Anunnaki in Antarctica. A small stretch of Arctic water has become a hotbed for Russian military activity over the last several weeks.
Someone or something has summoned the world's political and religious leaders to Antarctica. The mystery surrounding one of the world's largest but least explored landmasses continue to be revealed.
John Kerry went there, Newt Gingrich supposedly, I guess, is taking a visit, and other world leaders. They're all hopping on down to Antarctica right in the wake of Buzz Aldrin posting that picture of the mountain that kind of looks like a pyramid.
I received an email from a retired 60-year-old U.S. Navy petty officer, first-class flight engineer. He and his C-130 crew encountered high strangeness in Antarctica from 1995 to 1996.
Antarctica Guardians ordered John Kerry to leave Antarctica and not to return, followed by our report about the strange blue lights in the sky in New Zealand and the blue-greenish UFO-like object.
Specifically, we don't want you talking about the scientist that you picked up after being missing for a couple weeks. And I said, how would you know about that? I've only talked to certain people. And the phone said, well, we know pretty much everything.
This is a lot about the projection of Russia's status, right? Russia's status is a great power, first and foremost. Second, the fact that Russia's an Arctic power.
Sweeping in on a massive military transport, the Russian president recently visited the base.
Вот человека избрали, он приходит с одними идеями, к нему приходят люди с кейсами, хорошо одетые и в темных, как у меня, костюмах, но только не с красным галстуком, а с черным или с темно-синим. И начинают объяснять, как нужно делать.
The plan that Donald Trump has is to reinvigorate the United States, to make it the #1 country again. But it would take between 7 years and 10 years, that's the estimate, to put America back in the driving position.
Residents near the Norwegian island of Vardo have reported seeing an unprecedented buildup of Russian military forces in the area, including ground, naval, and air units involved in strange and unusual military maneuvers.
Antarctica seems to be giving up its secrets. Numerous political and religious leaders, including former Secretary of State John Kerry, have been taking secret trips to the remote continent of Antarctica.
A large amount of the ice on the fringes of the continent is starting to slide off. The continent has begun to thaw. When that happens, you have no conception of how much mineral and energy wealth is in the continent of Antarctica.
They all saw rapidly moving silver discs over the trans-Antarctic mountains. Brian and his crew also saw a huge football field-sized hole in the ice, only about 5 to 10 miles from the geographic South Pole.
The primary reason of John Kerry's visit was to initiate contact with the Antarctic Guardians. It becomes clear that the strange blue light in the sky has been caused by these Antarctic beings.
And then they said, just don't be putting that out there anymore. Certain people would prefer that you not talk about that. And then I said, well, I'll consider that. And then the phone went dead. There was a click. Whoever on the other end hung up.
Putin made a show of traversing a glacier and hammering at the ice. Russian troops will be living under the harshest of conditions, 18-month deployments where the temperatures can dip well below zero.
Это происходит от одной администрации к другой. Что-то изменить — это достаточно сложное дело. Это, я говорю без всякой иронии. Это не потому, что кому-то не хочется, а потому что это сложно. Вот Обама.
He doesn't have that length of time, and he has set a plan to do all of that in 18 months. And the only way he can do that in 18 months is to release alien technology. But they're not calling it alien technology.
Many military analysts believe the frozen tundra, located just 30 kilometers from Russia's Kola Peninsula, is a staging ground to thwart Western expansionism.
But as of yet, no one in any official capacity has explained why they're flooding to Antarctica all of a sudden. It would take an expert with a wide body of knowledge in fields including...
Where often we look at Antarctica, all we see is the surface, which is just ice. We say, well, there's nothing there. You know, you'd have to drill through 2 miles of ice to extract any resources. The little bit that's already thawed, they found a bit of coal.
It was supposed to be a no-fly zone. But during an emergency medevac crisis, to speed up their trip, they flew across that no-fly zone and saw apparently what they were not supposed to see.
I was like, wow, this is out of the blue.
What did you do next?
Well, I was kind of curious, so I took the number off my cell phone and Googled it on the internet. It came back as the general phone number for the NSA.
It's known as exotic technology, that's what it's called in the intelligence services. And he wants to release some of this hidden technology to the corporations so that they can get going very quickly.
Our Moscow source, however, paints a much more sinister picture. Russian forces, he says, are training for a massive strike against an Anunnaki hive in Antarctica.
Religion, science, politics, and history to unravel the web that has been weaved by governments and secretive scientific organizations over the last 7 decades to understand what's really at play here.
The continent of Antarctica was once temperate in the past. It has just as much mineral wealth, certainly, and probably as much energy wealth as any other continent. But none of it has ever been tapped.
A huge hole in the ice that looked like it was an entrance to an underground installation. Later at camp near Marie Birdland, some dozen scientists disappeared for 2 weeks.
You don't want you talking about the scientists that you picked up after being missing for a couple weeks.